let's break down our two top stories tonight. The DHS Secretary's explanation for who's to blame for the continuing to explode border crisis, and an FBI whistleblower's claim that has lawmakers asking whether the Attorney General lied to them about the feds tracking American parents. Tonight's Dream Team panel is Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall and TAG Strategies Vice President Aaron Perini. Great to have you both back with us.
Hi, Shannon.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is what the FBI says in response. They were quoted in the Wall Street Journal. It says the FBI has never been in the business of investigating parents who speak out or policing speech at school board meetings. We're not going to start now. We are fully committed to preserving and protecting First Amendment rights, including freedom of speech. Aaron, there's been a lot of pushback from the administration and from official agencies saying this is being way overblown and that parents who show up and are angry about policies or curriculum, no one's tracking them. What do you say?
Well, I think that the facts are just not supporting that claim by the White House. We've got to remember that Democrats and President Biden have a history of trying to weaponize government against those who would go against them. Let's remember that the Obama-Biden administration IRS targeting conservatives. This is a pattern of repeated behavior here. And what are we seeing now? President Biden, left-wing special interest groups, the Department of Justice, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and we know this because of the whistleblower coming forward, working together to put threat tags and investigate parents who are standing up at school board meetings to discuss the curriculum that is being taught to their children. And I can tell you, it looks like Democrats aren't learning the lesson they should have learned a couple weeks ago here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, where a Republican was just elected to be the next governor because of a pushback on Democrats pursuing these kind of dangerous curriculum policies. It's being soundly rebuked across the country, and it's something that needs to be answered. Garland needs to get back on the Hill and talk about what has happened here and whether he willfully lied or misled Congress, or if he's just completely inept and doesn't know what's going on at his own Department of Justice.
To that point, the House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy had a statement out tonight that said this: Attorney General Garland must return to Congress to address under oath in detail the discrepancies regarding the directives he issued following investigating America's parents. So, Leslie, do you think he should show up again and clarify this? Would it be helpful for everybody?
I don't think it needs clarification, but if people need to hear the same thing twice to understand the difference between somebody who has threatened violence to be tagged and somebody who is asserting their First Amendment right. The First Amendment does not cover violence of any kind, violent speech as in hatred, but threatening, no. There have been threats of violence and even death in states like Virginia, Kentucky, and Maine toward other parents, toward teachers, and toward school board officials. That is illegal to threaten. So to have any law enforcement, whether it's local or federal, track such an individual, whether it's at a school board meeting or somebody who threatens one of us here who's on television giving an opinion they don't like, I like that they're tracking those individuals. That does not take away from the First Amendment, and it is not contrary to the testimony that the Attorney General gave. So I think bring it on, have him come back and reiterate exactly what he said, because what they're doing is not different than what an investigation would hold. But you do and should track people who are threatening violence.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned all the different states. If that's the case, then good. State officials, they have criminal state laws and localities and ordinances, and those people should be cracking down on these individuals. I don't know about the feds getting involved, but maybe he could come back and clarify that. I want to ask you guys, too, about Secretary Mayorkas today. I want to play a little bit of back and forth between him and Senator Graham about what's going on at the border.
Do you think we're on the right track as a nation?
I do.
Okay. How would you grade yourself?
Senator, I'm a tough grader on myself, and I give myself an A for effort, investment in mission, and support of our workforce.
Aaron, A for effort.
It's actually very laughable that the secretary would stand there and give himself an A for effort in front of a committee. The only A he should get is for the effort to break records each and every month about individuals illegally crossing the border of the United States. I mean, Republicans did a really masterful job today in the judiciary hearing to push Mayorkas on what has happened. You saw Senator Cruz lean in on the Biden cages. Listen, Biden and Harris are not looking at what is actually driving this and and why their policies and Democrat policies continue to perpetuate a humanitarian crisis at the border. I was with Senator Cruz and the 18 other Republican senators who went to the border back in March, and we saw masses of people sitting under a bridge in Del Rio, Texas. We saw people crammed into cages. We saw people waiting to cross the Rio Grande to get over into the United States. And what are Democrats doing? They're not enforcing the law. They are not enforcing the Remain in Mexico policy, which would be critical to this. They're not securing the border, and they're trying to double down on the policy by offering up to $400,000 per person for illegally entering the United States. We don't need to pay people to illegally enter the United States. They clearly want to do it on their own. What we need to do is enforce the law.
Yeah, let me get Leslie in here. And again, those payments, if they come to fruition, are for people who are separated from their children. But again, if they came here illegally, there are a lot of questions about why that money should be paid out to both them and their children. That debate continues. But Leslie, you know, it's not just Republicans complaining about the border and what they feel is inaction by the Biden administration. We have Democrats, especially a lot of them on those border towns down there in Texas, saying, we feel like no one's listening to us. This is a massive problem. Today, the secretary admitted there are some 375,000 people that came here illegally in the last year who are inside the U.S. What do you advise this administration to do?
I wouldn't give the administration an A, but I wouldn't give any administration for the past 20 plus years an A. And I would give Congress, both Democrats and Republicans, an F, because what it comes down to is changing our asylum policy. Right now, our borders are not open. Our checkpoints are, and they are patrolled by our wonderful Border Patrol agents. But if you have to come from your country to seek asylum in the United States through these checkpoints and come to the United States, which is our current policy, that is a huge problem. Another huge problem is 3 countries in particular, Venezuela, Brazil, and Cuba, are not taking these people back. And that's something that this administration definitely has to work out. And then third, are the smugglers. And the smugglers, that's been going on for decades as well. It's been increasing for the past 10 years, who are getting hundreds of dollars per head each day for each person they can try and smuggle into this country.
And they are endangering these people, as we talked about. These are human beings, and they are endangering them in all of this. So, yeah, I think everybody agrees. This is something that's supposed to be taken care of by the legislative branch. And if the executive continues to have to do it with orders, that's not going to solve anything long term. So, Congress, please, we are cheering for you to get something done on this. Leslie and Aaron, thank you both.
Thank you.